Works such as Beethoven's Seventh Symphony have been cornerstones of the orchestral repertoire for so long, it's hard to imagine a time when presenting them in public performances was such a challenge that such presentations were relatively rare. The advent of regular public concerts only began in the latter half of the 18th century. Composers who wrote symphonies for these venues appealed to popular tastes, hoping to generate the revenue necessary to pay the high costs of large ensemble performance while turning a profit. This concert environment presented special challenges for a composer like Beethoven, who saw the symphonic genre as an important platform for his most profound musical expressions. As a result, he wrote his symphonies without particular public performances in mind, biding his time until opportunities arose that had the potential to be both lucrative and noteworthy. Such an opportunity presented itself in the person of Johann Nepomuk Melzel, an itinerant engineer who was equal parts legitimate inventor, showman, and con man. While he's remembered today as the inventor of the metronome, much of his work focused on developing automatons that could accomplish higher-order human tasks, such as playing musical instruments. One of his more elaborate inventions was the panharmonicon, an enormous self-operating mechanical organ that produced the sounds of common military band instruments and could even imitate the explosions of guns and cannons. Melzel was on friendly terms with Beethoven, having made ear trumpets for the increasingly deaf composer that were found to be more useful than others. Soon after word reached Vienna in late June of 1813 that the British, led by the Duke of Wellington, had defeated the French in a decisive battle near the northern Spanish city of Vitoria, Melzel recruited Beethoven into a money-making scheme. The composer, working closely with Melzel, would create a work for the panharmonicon by arranging a group of patriotic British tunes, such as Rule Britannia and God Save the King. Then the collaborators would travel to London to reap the financial rewards that would surely result from flattering the victors in their moment of triumph. A stumbling block was the cost of the trip. Both Melzel and Beethoven were strapped for cash, and by the fall of 1813 the tour was in doubt. But the resourceful inventor found a solution: a grand charity concert to benefit Austrians and Bavarians wounded in war, with a program so filled with novelty and spectacle that its repetition, and the revenue earned from it, was all but assured. The concert would conclude with Beethoven's gaudy orchestral setting of the piece written for the panharmonicon, now titled Wellington's Victory, and it would begin with the first performance of his Seventh Symphony, performed by an orchestra comprised of Vienna's best musicians, all of whom were donating their services. The concert turned out as Melzel predicted. Its success prompted a repetition 4 days later, and versions of the program were presented throughout the following year. The reception for Wellington's Victory was so rapturous and its commercial potential so obvious that Beethoven put aside his distaste for the piece and claimed complete ownership, disrupting his relationship with Melzel and effectively canceling the London project. While the Seventh Symphony wasn't greeted with the same euphoria as Wellington's Victory, one major newspaper critic praised it faintly as a companion piece, it was well received, with the second movement making such an impression that it had to be encored before the orchestra could move on to the scherzo. Among the heroic large-scale works in the Beethoven canon, the Seventh Symphony would enter the standard repertoire with relative ease, and it carries itself with a lightness and joy that continues to compel us.